as you know, I'm not the greatest with words. So,
oh my gosh. Can we just pause for a minute and talk about the words? Okay.
yeah.
Kyle has called me bulky. That was fun one day when you were like, you're just really bulky. And I'm like, oh,
and I
wow.
meant like strong, like it was meant as a compliment.
Right. And then another time we were having delicious breakfast at this very, very fancy hotel restaurant in California, Napa Valley.
This got brought up the other day.
And you had your breakfast, and first you weren't sure what to do with your eggs, and we're like,
first I don't eat breakfast. That's why.
but you didn't know what to put on your eggs. So we were like salt and pepper. And then you ate it and it was like, wow, how was that, Kyle? And you're like, it was
the beef hash, I think it was called.
It was, and you said it was too flavorful.
Yeah.
So yeah, Kyle, you can be a little like, what goes on in your head and what comes out of your mouth aren't really jiving.
Yeah, I blame my mom for that. She's worse than I am. So
really,
but no, I think oh yeah. If you would, oh my gosh. Yeah, you need to spend some time around my mom and you would understand why my brain and my mouth don't work together.
Is that why she's always just videotaping everything?
Probably that's probably a reason why she's always behind the camera. For sure.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, those are some examples of Kyle being,
I meant bulky as a compliment. And I think you understood, but it took
I have a feeling that in the comments, people will be like, bulky is, if you're a girl, like, I don't even know. Would you want me to call you bulky?
Yeah, but I know I'm not bulky. So I meant strong. Like I remember, where were we driving to, like Charleston or something? And we stopped like somewhere at a gas station or something. And I don't know why I gave you that compliment, what I thought was a compliment, but it didn't go over as a compliment.
Yeah. Maybe we were in Charleston or something like that. Yeah. And that's probably why when we drove home from Charleston on that trip of eating our way through South Carolina, why we stopped. Remember, we went into the juice cleanse after we went, and we just like tried to pile up on whatever they had, because you probably gave me like a complex then that I was bulky. My God, I was thinner then than I am now for sure. I'm like, I wasn't bulky. I meant
it as a compliment.
Muscular at worst.
Okay, whatever. Let's move on. Before I put my foot in my mouth again.
You had a super kick-ass season in 2021. I was so stoked to be there at the end in Phoenix. But I'm curious
I'm gonna credit you for your strength in getting my dinner to what I wanted it the night before.
Oh yeah,
maybe without that meal, I wouldn't have won.
Yes, we went to dinner and they didn't have. You wanted chicken parmesan.
Parm, I think. Yeah,
chicken parmesan, and they were out. And I was like, "Do you have chicken?" And they're like, "Yeah." And then they're like, "It's just not breaded." I'm like, "It's easy. Just dip it in egg, put the breading on it." And then she went back and made shit happen. And you got your chicken parm.
Yeah, because me, non-confrontational Kyle, I'm like, okay, it's fine. I'll just order something else. And Danica is like, no, he wants a chicken parm. He's going to get a chicken parm. It's easy.
It was the night before the biggest race of the year to win the championship. Can we tell another story about Danica trying to get what she wanted done about 4th of July many years ago?
Yeah,
when your cat climbed up a tree because my dog chased your cat. And I felt really bad about that. And so you went down to go see if the local fire department would be able to get
my house is like right across the street from the fire station. So it's
very close. And they said they couldn't. And I was like, oh, really? And then I went and you came with me and you stood way back. And I tried to be nice at first.
For like a minute.
I was nice. And then it was dark. And I was like, I was hoping you could help me. My friends came and like the cat stuck in the tree and they were getting ready. They were doing nothing. There was like 4 or 5 of them doing nothing. And I was like, I really would appreciate it. And they were just putting up the wall. They're like, in the movies, it makes it seem like we're supposed to do this, but we don't. And they'll just come down eventually. I'm like, yeah, when they're dehydrated and die. And it's summer. It's like July in North Carolina. And I threw some serious shade out there to get them to come. I threw out social media disgrace to them. I was like, look, if you guys don't come, and they came.
I did not say a word. I was like, oh my God, if I could just if I could just leave right now, I would, because I felt so
embarrassed.
I felt bad for everybody. I felt bad for them. I felt bad for the cat. I felt, it was just,
I'm
it was
trying to be
awkward.
better than that. I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to let things go more. I'm a little more zen than I used to be.
I was going to say, you're more zen-like now, so.
How, like, one of the things transitioning from one year to the next is you never really know how it's going to go, right? Like, you want to have the same year again next year. If you do, I mean, I'd be freaking blown away because it was just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. For people who don't know, I mean, the normal amount of races that the Cup champion wins in a year is probably what?
4 to 6.
I was going to say 5 to 7, maybe at the most. You won twice as many on top of all the big dirt wins. So having the same year again would be amazing, and kind of, it would be phenomenal. So, but the one thing that happens is when we all get to Daytona at the beginning of the year, you never really know how it's going to go because people work on their cars in the off season. Mm-hmm. Rules packages change sometimes, engine packages. There's all kinds of things that can shift, and you really don't know what happens from that, November through February time with all the other cars. How it's going to go is kind of a mystery. So I was never in the shop enough to know, let's face it. It wasn't my fun zone. But what happened? Like, what can you do? What can you do as a team? Like, what do you know is happening? Whose job is it to make sure it's really good the next year? This year is different than any other year for me because we're going from the Gen 6 car, which is what I was always in, even though it had different rules packages, between years and stuff. But anyways, we're going from the Gen 6 to the next gen car, which is totally different. So yeah, like, I think you can't have any expectations. I don't. Like, I mean, we just won 10, 11 races last year. We could go winless this year. It's just how it goes with the new car. But so I don't know. I haven't had much testing in it. I was gone while they tested in Charlotte, so I don't even know like how they drive that much. So far, it's looked like it's a bit of a disaster. Yeah, I mean, I think they've made improvements on it. But yes, I think they've kind of times kind of ran out a little bit to really do R&D on what's the proper package. But as far as the off-season stuff, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think I'm probably similar to you. I don't know anything about a race car. You know more about a race car than I do. So I don't go in the shop at all and like pick their brains about what they're changing, where their improvements are that they've found, and what's the difference in the cars. Like, I can't even talk about what the difference is. I guess it's independent suspension. The shifting's different, stuff like that. What does that even mean? So yeah, I don't know, but yeah. Maybe people think it's funny that we don't really know that stuff. Some drivers are really up on it. Some drivers are into it. They get it. Some of them are really into the cars, but I didn't even know where the sway bar was, and I don't know. I've looked under a stock car maybe twice in my career, but I mean, it doesn't matter. My job's to drive, and theirs is to work on it. And so, yeah, I think, Cliff, my crew chief, Cliff Daniels, the engineers and crew chiefs from the other teams. Really, I think you have to lean on everybody at your race shop to prepare your cars, especially when it's a new generation car. You got to lean on Chevrolet and even other teams. I think the other Chevy teams are really communicating well right now from what I hear. So that should hopefully, give us an edge or get us closer to where we need to be once the season starts. If you were to rank driver, car, engine, crew chief, pick, like what rank does that stuff fall? I don't want to go simple car versus driver because you can answer car versus driver, what's more important. But I'm kind of curious of maybe a little bit of a deeper sort of look into what matters in your opinion. Yeah. I've only ever thought about it as car and driver, but I think once you start throwing in all those other things, I think then it almost narrows it to where everything's closer to equal. Like, everything matters equally or close to equal. Because you could view your pit crew like in Phoenix. I don't win the championship without my pit crew. Right. So everybody matters, and every person, every job in that shop matters.
the car matters, the driver matters, picture matters. I mean, heck, the business people upstairs matter, just as much as anybody else does. Because if your car's not funded, they're not going to have the resources to go fast. So it's really hard, I feel like, to say one thing is more important than the other or has a bigger factor than the others.
All right, then car versus driver.
Car versus driver. I would have to give the edge to the car for sure. Yeah. I think you can look at my career. I think, in 2017, I won 4 races. 2018, I won 0 races. 2021, I won 11. So yeah. I'm probably a better driver than I was back then, but not way better. I just think, now that I'm at Hendrick Motorsports, their equipment and resources, you made the car better. So yes, your car means a lot, but you still also have to have a really good driver. I mean, there's nobody that lucks into a win or a championship for that matter.
Yeah. Well, it's just simple. If you just take like a great driver and a bad car versus a great car and a bad driver, I mean, if you can't.
Kevin Harvick won 9 races last year in 2020 and won 0 in 21, and he's an amazing race car driver. So somewhere they were off on their race cars.
Oh, I remember all your wins in 2017 because we flew together to and from all the races, and that jet had to wait for you and all your wins every time. And I was like, here we go again.
I appreciate it.
Oh man, it's okay.